there's a lot to get into here, and I don't. I think, and again, I don't. Here it is. There's another element to the story that under 30s, people under the age of 30, have ditched masks at a faster rate than older people since the legal requirement to wear them was dropped last month. That's from the government's Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies. The proportion of 18 to 29-year-olds still wearing a face covering after the 19th of July is around 65%, compared with 87% when they were mandatory. In retrospect, it's quite hard to remember why they lifted that ruling. Was it really just to keep people like Brexit hardman Steve Baker happy on the back benches? That was the only theory that we could come up with at the time. It's remarkable. I know you've got the headbangers who turned up at a building that doesn't belong to the BBC anymore to storm the BBC. You've got that school of thought. That's my friend that I bumped into yesterday talking about the satanic paedophiles. He was very much of that ilk. But you'll understand why I don't think there's much point engaging with them often or possibly even at all. Why did they do it? And I like this conversation because it has a combination of lived experience and informed opinion. So my lived experience is not akin with what many people are describing. Andy Byford, talking to Nick earlier, I think he was talking about quite high. Was he talking about 90%? I think he said 90% mask wearing, and that's their research, which doesn't tally with everybody's anecdotal evidence. And that is, it's important to walk through that properly. So I get the train home every day, and I get it in most mornings. Depends how I'm feeling, to be honest with you. And the train home tallies with that. About 90% mask wearing. That's on the London Underground. I don't want to make this too London centric. I mean, it was a TfL comment, but it also brought in National Rail and the other parts of the UK as well. Things are different in Wales and Scotland. I've not seen anybody since day one policing this. Not once have I seen somebody, and there have been a couple of occasions where I've been tempted to do it myself, but, you know, you're either in the mood for that or you're not, and I haven't been yet. I'm also slightly wary, because of what I do for a living, of having a go at someone in public. Probably more wary now after yesterday's adventures in Whitehall. But I have seen one instance where a man without a mask went to sit next to a woman with a mask on, and she said to him, "Where's your mask?" Or "Wear your mask." I have my headphones on. And he didn't put one on. He just went and sat somewhere else. So I'm interested in that. I'm interested in the self-started policing of mask wearing. The damage done by people in the media who called them muzzles and face nappies and what have you is immeasurable and will be a huge scar upon the coronavirus statistics for time immemorial. I don't understand the motivation of doing that. I said to you at the time, listen, it's probably not going to sell any papers or put any bums on seats as a provocative radio host. But this is surely just better safe than sorry territory. Who's going to look back in 2 years and feel absolutely outraged if it were to turn out that wearing a mask didn't do as much good as they hoped it might? I think that's less likely to happen now than it was when I first said it. But I struggle to get inside the mindset of people, obviously, just as much as you do. But some mindsets are almost impenetrable, right? So wear a mask on public transport. No, it's an affront to my freedoms. I said, yeah, all right, well, just do it for everybody else. Do it for your nan. Wear a mask on public transport. And if 2 years from now the science changes or the science evolves or the science improves and we can turn around and say, oh, do you remember when we all wore masks on public transport? Probably we didn't need to, actually. Who's going to go, oh, my God, my life has been ruined. 2 years I spent wearing a mask on public transport. I don't know if I'll ever be able to walk the streets of Paddington again. Do you see what was the issue there? What was the principle? What was the problem? What is Brexit hardman Steve Baker so frightened of? Put a mask on public transport. And then if it turns out several years hence that you didn't really need to, what have you lost, man? What have you lost? So that's the question you might like to answer. 0345 606 0973. What is going on where you are? And I want to get this out of London. I've had my worst experiences on trains, actually. I asked a guard, because it was young people, and I said, well, look, I'll tell you after the break. I don't want to crash the break too much, but if you want to get involved early or you want to book your place up front, what's the problem? Why don't we just make it compulsory? The Delta variant might be threatening the notion of herd immunity, I read this morning from one vaccines expert. So it's such an easy, simple and obvious thing to do. And it does seem to be slipping.